pros bring in a BMW M2 and prove that you can save money on labor costs if you upgrade certain parts like brakes and suspension at the same time. This overlapping labor can get you 2 jobs for the price of 1.
All right, Bogi, pull past this Cadillac. Ooh, man, is this a factory exhaust? This thing sounds
I don't know. It
phenomenal.
Sounds good.
And in case y'all folks at home are wondering what this thing is, Bogi and I are currently driving.
We got really excited there for a second.
A 2017 BMW M2. Doing a little research this morning, we're like, this thing already has it all. It's the complete package. Super quick, inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine, already fantastic suspension. It's like, all right, dude, what is there left to do?
I don't know, man.
Sounds
It handles
great, looks great,
pretty nice. It drives really nice. And kudos to BMW. It is a stick shift.
You couldn't tell by the by the sound or the jerking of my neck back there. I was like, oh god.
Sorry, it was a little aggressive shifting there, but overall it does shift really smoothly.
Yeah.
I was just, trying to give you a little roller coaster ride early in the morning.
The horsepower and the brakes.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that our customers hope to upgrade today. Hoping to upgrade the brakes, well as the suspension, giving it a little bit more of an aggressive look, but also making it a little tighter. But it's actually hoping to take it to the track.
This does handle nice. I wouldn't kick it out of my garage.
No. And for our next lesson of the day, primary colors. We have yellow, red, and blue, and you combine them, and you get stiffer suspension.
They didn't teach me that in art class.
I never went to art class. So let's start out with our lowering springs. We obviously have a set of lowering springs for the front and the rear, but we're working on the front right now, so here are the front ones. And this is going to give us a nice 1.2 inches of drop in the front, and then our rears are going to give us 0.8 inches. So not crazy over those bumps that we experienced this morning.
But this is already a pretty low car.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it handles on any sort of bumps once we lower it.
And these are a common choice for German cars, but this is also going to be, pretty much hitting exactly what his goals are. Because these are going to be both streetable, they're not crazy stiff, not a crazy drop, so it's going to be good for street, but also for track. So this is nice.
The matte, you like that?
Yeah, it's really nice color.
This is an upgraded sway bar. It is dramatically beefier than the factory one that is in there. You'll be able to see once we get that one out.
Right.
But this is stout.
Absolutely, and the ends
Not
are
light.
forged ends, which is great because we've got 2 holes here for adjustability.
Everybody
so
likes options.
You like options. All right, let's
get
get into the part so we can get this installed.
Absolutely. Will our tie rod come out easily, or will we need a hammer?
Wow.
All right, first thing we're tackling is getting the coils out. Relatively simple, not a lot of things that we need to separate. And as Faye kind of alluded to earlier, interesting suspension setup and linkages. We've got our upper and lower control arm are virtually at the same level as one another. It feels like it's not really a true upper control arm. And I've seen them be close versus all the way up and all the way down, but these are at the same freaking level right there.
It's weird.
It's a little bit odd. So really, it's the coil over the strut as well as the stabilizer link and the spindle linkage. That's really kind of all that's stabilizing that top part. So,
well, speaking of stabilizing, guess who did not get the memo about the fact that we're not removing the sway bar first, and I have 1 nut to go. Would you mind holding this in place so I can pull it out?
I would love to help you with that.
All right.
Well, at least that's nice and easy.
Yeah, and that's, as I mentioned earlier, I thought that was
way later.
Yeah, exactly.
Way later.
So,
all right.
Massive upgrade. I'll
The
take it.
strut may not be quite as easy, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Okay. We can move.
Enough.
Geometry. Now that Bogi and I have everything loosened underneath, it's only natural that we're going to move to the top of the car next and remove the struts with this really, I've never seen so many bolts holding the top of the strut on. And not only that, but once I get this little cover undone, which...
We've got a strut brace on both sides. Well, it connects, obviously, but it attaches to the top of the strut as well. So, I mean, this kind of makes a little bit more sense to me with how low and evenly matched the upper and lower control arm are, because it's being reinforced by that spindle and by this strut bar and all of the rest that's kind of holding it in place. So it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Also, it occurs to me that we might find that we have to put the strut back into that spindle in order to get this out all the way. Just for a clearance issue. I remember why I liked him. There we go. Push down. There we go. Okay.
Look, my fingers there, but...
And then...
Fingers are tender.
Let go, stabilizer link. All right.
There we go.
Boom.
Fantastic.
All right.
Cool.
The girls find out the driver's side strut too, and after the break, they'll move over to the spring compressor tool to get the new lowering springs installed.
No matter what you drive, there is nothing like a long open road, windows down and music up. With custom auto sounds undercover too, getting your sound system installed and turned up is easy. Because this is an all-in-one unit, the woofer and two tweeters are combined into one durable aluminum housing. Means you can put it just about anywhere. And this universal application can wire into any existing sound system, so you'll be pumping tunes in no time.
Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Hopefully y'all got a chance to have your coffee. I did not, but instead I was able to wrangle this strut into the spring compressors. No big deal, you've seen us use these before. And then hopefully when I get this top mount off, I'll be able to figure out where exactly this guy goes in there. But in the meantime, let's get that spring compressed a little bit more. These really are like the scariest tool in the shop to me. But that's because I've seen these things go like flying before if you don't do it right, people, so. Which way do we think it's gonna go? Maybe like that. Get out of there. Don't mind my creative use of a jack here. I'm not actually gonna push against that. That's just to help make it a little more convenient for myself. And also, while I have this out, we did notice, of course, on the test drive we were listening for, we were not just having a wonderful joyride. We were test driving, listening for any, weird sounds, weird creaks, weird vibrations in the steering wheel. And so, while everything is apart, now would be a really good time to replace these upper strut bearings if they needed to be replaced. But not only do these feel good, look good, and obviously my little hand is not putting the entire weight of the car on there, but we did notice on the test drive that there was no issue. So we're gonna go ahead and use factory strut bearing yet again. Also, another bonus to this is I didn't really have to pay attention to how I took this thing apart because I can put it back on and like rotate it into the perfect position. So it's like, a little added bonus of this style. All right, so now, I'm not sure if I put that.
I think we are more cocked.
More cocked.
There we go.
There we go, nice.
There we go.
Nice.
All right.
Nice. Well, now I'm just putting these in loosely just to hold it in place for now.
Okay. And then we'll pop the other side in real quick.
Cool. Love
right.
it.
Beautiful.
Ow, that was so much easier than I was expecting it to be,
I
Bogi.
know. They're pretty easy.
They look a little intimidating.
See?
Just like, what the?
Gotta love BMW.
Maybe it's that fancy M logo. I'm like, oh my god, it's expensive. I'm gonna break it.
One of these days, I'm gonna get her converted to BMW.
I love BMW.
And just like that, struts are in. And now we get to turn our attention to the sway bar. And then we'll get our brakes back on, and then we'll turn to the back of the vehicle. Now, we did get a kit for our sway bar, both front and rear. So that's gonna help with body roll tremendously. It is significantly stouter, as we mentioned previously, than the factory one. So
get these started, and then I didn't lie. Oh, I went on the inner one, the tighter one.
Okay.
easiest tie rod I've ever installed in my life.
Right?
The front modifications are done on this track-ready BMW M2. Next, the girls turn their attention to upgrading the brakes, and then they'll show you why the sway bar install is a lot tougher in the rear.
By far the best and easiest thing that you can do to extend the life of your engine is to make sure that you change your engine oil at regular intervals. And if you use a fully synthetic oil, like this one from Ultra One Plus, then your service intervals are less frequent. Ultra One Plus motor oils protects your engine against high temperature varnish, sludge, and deposit buildup. This oil also exceeds most regulatory specifications and provides maximum protection against rust and corrosion to keep your engine running like new. This SAE 5W20 fully synthetic motor oil is perfect for your engine, especially on those cold morning startups. Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Bogi and I finished up our lowering spring install, our anti-sway bar install, beefier one, I should add, and we're finishing up the front of the vehicle with a brake upgrade. So what we've got going on here is like a match made in heaven with some nice OE rotors and upgraded brake pads, and we found all of these items on rockauto.com.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about Rock Auto is that, like, it's not just OE stuff, you can get performance stuff as well. So, these rotors OE are pretty performance-y in and of themselves, right? But it was putting this on the track. We want as much braking power as we can. Also, we want to make sure it's a composition that's good for quiet. That's kind of most important for him. It's always a trade-off, right? It's either performance, quiet, or longevity.
Yeah.
With longevity, you get noise. So we're going with the quality. We're going with performance-minded.
Absolutely. And, when we were driving around, like, the car felt pretty solid. Like, it felt great as it is.
Yeah.
This is an upgrade that I totally understand because, I don't know if you saw that Motortrend did, like, a little comparison side by side of the M2 and the Supra. They did. You can check it out.
Who won?
After this. So on paper, everyone was expecting the BMW to do better. And it did not because of the brake issue on the M2, supposedly.
I don't believe it. I didn't see it. I don't believe it.
You can watch on the Motortrend app later, but stay here with us. Stay here with us.
All right.
So with this, we don't want our owner to be shamed and have me be faster on the track. So we're gonna we're gonna get these installed. Now there's some direction.
But first, I have to show you how easy it is to order parts on here because you haven't played with this much. I normally do the ordering of parts, and I might not be around sometime. Or
oh God, don't die.
I'm not planning on
Okay.
it. I'm not planning on it. But anyway, it's super easy. So you just pick your vehicle.
Okay.
So M2,
yep.
pick your engine if there's more than one choice, and then go into whatever area of the car you're talking about. So this is brake pad. I've already expanded. And check this out. Because they have everything, like OE stuff as well as performance stuff. They have it organized. So I've got all of my economy options, my daily driver options. Exactly. Premium. But wait, there's more. High performance, and then track use.
And that is what we picked.
Is what we picked. Because, come on, track use, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, like, let the Supra beat you, people. That would be embarrassing. Can't have that. So, wow, okay, that is awesome. And I gotta say, like, looks like it's a lot cheaper than the dealership.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, dealership. And we don't have to wait until like 8 o'clock for the parts guy to get there, and maybe 8:30 have his first sip of coffee.
Yep.
Or 5.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, shall we get these installed?
We shall, indeed. All right, that one's yours.
Yep.
This one's mine.
Ta-da!
All right. They heavy.
They are heavy. Make sure that I line this up properly with my little locating dowels. There's one. All right, so I've got my rotor installed now, and this is like one part of the car where we actually should have paid attention to how things came apart, and then thus putting it back together a little bit easier because, as you can tell, these are directional. Thankfully, there was a sticker on them that did label them left and right, but with a quick glance, we can also just make sure that we've got it going on the right side. Some of the drills can be a little bit different, whether they're going towards or against the direction of the internal vanes, which hopefully you can see here. But at the rear of the car to give, as you can imagine it turning forward, and then like the centrifugal force sort of like helping to disperse the heat and the air that's sort of like built up in there. So, yeah, I got it installed correctly. How you doing over there, Bogi?
I'm doing all right. So, as Faye was educating you about rotors, talk about these pads a little bit. I've always been impressed at how much of BMW's design kind of stays similar over the different models and years. But this is one thing that did not stay consistent. The pads are a little bit different. These are kind of the pin style, so there's a clip in here, and then your pin is going to slide out. Now, I've gone ahead and put the caliper back on the rotor just so I have something to work against rather than fighting it down here while it's hanging. And another thing to remember is you always want to replace your brake pad sensor. Try to get this thing out of here. Okay. Getting my workout here in for the day. We are turning our attention to the back of the vehicle so that we can do the rear brakes, rear springs, as well as rear sway bar. Now this is a little bit more difficult than the front was, particularly the sway bar. Springs are easy, brakes are easy, but the sway bar goes up and over the differential, and unlike a floating differential, which is relatively easy to maneuver around, this is a fixed rear end, and all of it is basically contained within a subframe. So dropping four, I think it's just four, bolts that attach it to the frame of the vehicle, this whole subframe will drop down. It includes the rear end, the suspension, the brakes, the half shafts, everything's all going to lower down. So what I did basically was loosen or get rid of the bolt at the bottom of the springs, took my exhaust down so it wasn't in my way, splash shields down, all that kind of good stuff. Now, we should be able to drop the subframe, hopefully just a couple of inches, and then we can kind of sneak that sway bar up and over. It may require a little bit more finagling. That upper control arm may get in our way. I'm not positive, but I always try to go for the path of least resistance. We're going to see if we can get away with it. If we need to take stuff off, we will. There you go. All right.
Oh, God.
Free? Free! Yay!
Oh, God. I feel like that was way harder than it should have been for like rear sway bar.
Okay, I'll concede. That could have been easier. However, we got like lots done all at the same time, right? I feel like the theme for today has been overlapping labor.
Yeah.
Like, we got the springs while doing the sway bar, which we normally wouldn't have to drop the suspension to do the springs, but it kind of all overlapped. I feel like that's one of the things people are like, shops are trying to rip me off. They're trying to tell me I have to do all of this stuff at the same time.
No, it's like saving money.
Right.
If you did all these things individually,
Exactly.
it would cost so much more. So.
Exactly.
The sway bar is in, and Faye drops in the new coil spring.
Awesome.
All that's left is to bolt everything back together, and the girls will show you the proper way to break in the new brakes.
Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Bogi and I finally wrangled this rear sway bar into place, and that was way more of a struggle than we were expecting. Now, of course, I'm going to get Bogi's help to sort of push everything back up into place, reattach everything, and then the final part of this job is the rear brakes. And much like the fronts, we picked out these OEM rotors, and we paired them with an upgraded pad, and we found all these on rockauto.com. So, fairly common, I think, for people to pad slap brakes, especially in the rear. But these are kind of already manufactured at minimum specification. You're not really supposed to just replace just the pads, although I see a lot of people doing it. But in this case, you can see the ridges on this rotor. It's actually a super deep groove here and here. And just looking at the depth there, it's kind of a sign that this guy, or I don't know, maybe a buddy of his or a previous owner, had done a pad slap in the rear. So this is definitely a necessary job. We're gonna place everything for him, and yeah, hopefully he'll be able to beat that Supra on the track.
Okay, I'm coming down. Ready?
Yes.
Moment of truth. Rear subframe reinstalled. Front and rear brakes are in, and we're just about wrapping up this job. Now, one thing that's important to note on the brakes is that you don't want just go out and romp and slam on these brakes. There's kind of a break-in procedure. You'll notice there was a coating on those rotors. So you want to kind of do a couple of more aggressive brakes, but not to a complete stop. So we're going like 35 miles an hour down to 10 miles an hour. We do that 4 or 5 times. Then we're going to do a couple more kind of milder brakes. And then we want to let it cool off. So it's really important to kind of get it heated up, cool it off, but don't slam rotors. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, we don't want them to like warp right out the bat. That'd be lousy.
It would.
Yeah, we got our sway bars installed, front and rear, and our new lowering springs. Get these wheels back on and actually like see what this thing looks at the more aggressive stance, and of course, feel it out on the street.
I know, this is gonna be a really fun ride after this.
Since you drove initially, I think it's my turn.
Well, I do think it's important for you to feel that like ultimate BMW driving experience. So
there's only one of us here that can actually be the judge of whether or not this thing can actually beat the Supra.
I see how this is. This is gonna be a fun drive. All right, if you can catch it, you can do it. That was close. That was close.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
Ooh, all right, so let's see.
This is where we test our suspension.
Okay, that wasn't bad. Solid. Man, I love driving this car.
Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear that? She loves driving this car.
There's a lot of cars I love driving.
I'm just being a brat. I know.